My amplified unit, happy Thanksgiving for everybody that celebrates here in the States, or if you have taken this day and this concept out into the rest of the world, if you celebrate, happy Thanksgiving. BC is showing some thanks to my amplified unit today, and I thought what better way to show thanks than some bonus amplification, a bonus video. I said, hey, AEW Dynamite was last night. There's the concept. Let's just go over the show. So for the next half an hour, I'd love to have you guys shoot the shit with BC about some pro wrestling, man. If you watch AEW, buckle up. You've never seen a review like BC's, man. I'm so hard-hitting with the truth that even Tony Khan has gotten upset with my reviews. I'm hoping we have squashed that and we can move on, but I'm not going to change the way that I review, you know. If it's something that was really well done, I'm going to harp on it in a positive way. And if it was really badly done, I'm going to harp on it in a negative way. There's no sugarcoating on this channel. There's no BS. We're trying to make pro wrestling. We're trying to get it back to the promised land. The only way to truly do that is to be truthful. We have to do that as content creators, podcasters, YouTubers, journalists, reporters, whatever you call yourself. You got to be honest, and then, and only then, your audience can be just as honest. So, AEW Dynamite, 11/23/22, Thanksgiving Eve for a lot of us again here in the States. So, when we talk about the show as a whole, it kind of gets overshadowed by two main stories, right? Thunder Rosa and CM Punk. So what are we talking about? If you didn't watch the show last night, and you don't know why these two names are the biggest stories coming out of last night, two of the biggest stories in all of pro wrestling today on Thanksgiving, well, let's start with Thunder Rosa, probably the biggest news. Rosa has officially been stripped of her AEW Women's Championship. This is a move that BC has been asking for since the day she walked out with the back injury, and Tony Khan made one of the biggest booking botches he could have possibly made. As if the first time with the interim title with the CM Punk situation wasn't bad enough, Tony Khan doubled down, and he made a second interim champion in Thunder Rosa, even though it was a supposed back injury that doesn't have an actual return timetable. Because it's the back, it could be a million different things. You can't really diagnose it. There's no return. Yet Tony Khan made this weird decision. Screw it. You can take off with the title. We'll claim somebody else as the champ, and hopefully you'll be back in a couple of months. Not the case. I mean, if it's a real back injury, Randy Orton, for instance, they don't know if Randy Orton's ever going to be able to come back. That's how bad it's looking. So you don't really know. A lot of people thought this was just because she didn't want to do the job, when all she had to do was come in, take a few moves, lay on her back, look up at the lights, and give the title over to Toni Storm the right way. And she decided, nope, all of a sudden my back hurts a little bit too much. I'm going to walk out now. So a lot of people were questioning the injury. Thunder Rosa even said her own friends were questioning. That's not a good thing when your own friends don't believe you, by the way. But Rosa says because they were hearing all these stories. But the point is, before you blame or don't blame, whether you blame Rosa or believe she's a victim in all of this because of Britt Baker and her girls, there is blame to be placed, and it's obviously on Tony Khan. And I'm glad he finally, it's better late than never, I guess, but he finally did the right thing, which is a video I just put out a few days ago, and it was literally on the thumbnail in the headline, Tony, do the right thing. And it was all about how we have let this get so far that the women's roster, it's not just Britt's girls anymore. The roster is getting upset. Like, they don't feel this is right, that they're busting their ass and they're not going to be claimed as an actual champion. So for the third time, Toni Storm was put in a bad situation where she was asked about it and she gave her real thoughts. To the point where she said she feels she should show up to work and do the job, properly give the belt over to her the way it was supposed to be. And Tony Khan was then Tony Khan had no choice but to address the issue. Toni Storm was getting heated to the point where that was enough. So then Tony Khan has to has to say in one of his conferences that, you know what, maybe it is getting to that time where I do have to take the title from Rosa. And we didn't know if he really meant it or was this just a load of horse shit. And it's going to stick on Rosa until well into 2023 because Tony Khan thinks, hey, it's went so long that I can't take it now because then I just look like a goof. But Tony Khan did the right thing, man. And he took that title. There was no way this was going to be resolved. The locker room in Thunder Rosa just are so... There's so much turmoil. I don't know if you're going to see Rosa back in AEW. I really don't. And before everybody goes, well, Triple H has to grab her. Guys, you know, not everybody feels the same enthusiasm you feel about Thunder Rosa. There's a lot of us that just don't see that great of a wrestler, that sees somebody who is constantly a problem in the locker rooms, and C, I just am not seeing the consistency or the benefits outweighing the negatives to have somebody like Rosa in an already crowded WWE locker room and roster. I mean, if you look at WWE, your champions alone with Ronda Rousey and Bianca Belair, if they're booked correctly, those are badass realistic champions. And if you take Ronda Rousey and Bianca Belair out of the equation, then you're still stuffed with an immaculate roster that is second to none. When you start thinking of Io Sky and Asuka and Dakota Kai and Bayley, and if they're able to get Sasha Banks back, that's mic drop. You still have, obviously, you still have and I don't know if people, everyone's going to feel differently about it, but you still have Charlotte Flair. I am not that high on her. I don't think she is as great as a lot of people make her out to be. I just don't. But Charlotte Flair is still good and checks off many boxes. You have Becky Lynch. There's a whole... I'm leaving off a bunch, obviously. Roxy is about to get the call up. As young as she is, she can do laps around most rosters in pro wrestling. And there's just so many more. I mean, Shayna Baszler, if she was booked correctly, could be a lethal threat. Lethal threat to anybody. It probably fucking half the dudes. Rhea Ripley. I'm leaving off a bunch, but there's so many. Xia Li. I mean, it's a roster that is so fucking stacked. And what is he going to do with Thunder Rosa? I mean, he's bringing in Mia Yim. He brought in Sarah Logan. He's bringing in Chelsea Green, we're hearing possibly. What is Rosa really gonna do, man? I mean, there's a lot of us that are not seeing her move a needle. I mean, she's just not that good. I cannot put together consistent Thunder Rosa good matches. I cannot put together a top 5 Thunder Rosa matches that doesn't involve lights out with Britt Baker anyway. But a traditional, actual one-on-one match, man, I'm just seeing a lot of flubbed matches. That's hard to hear. I understand. I'm not shocked like a lot of people are that it ended this way. And I won't be shocked if she never comes back to AEW. You know? Do they iron things out? Do they come to a boardroom table meeting and all the females get around? Do we have a little bit of an intervention and everybody's able to just go about their business and try to be better? Then Rosa can come back. But this goes beyond a back injury, guys. This is way beyond a back injury. This is a locker room frustrated. And that frustration started to turn not just to Rosa, but to Tony Khan. And the truth of the matter, guys, is that it wasn't just Britt Baker's girls. I mean, there's this narrative because Rosa goes on Busted Open and all these podcasts, and she gives her side of the story and she plays the victim. But if you look at everybody frustrated, it wasn't just Britt's girls, like a Rebel and a Hater and a few others. Jade Cargill was actually getting upset. Now, Jade Cargill isn't one of the clique. She's became friends with Baker, but not one of the clique. If you know Cargill, you know how she rolls. So for her to get her pissed off, that's not just Britt's girls. And then Tony Storm has been pissed off at Rosa. Tony Storm has not been pleased or pleasant since Rosa took off because she says she sees through all the BS. And if you know anything about Tony Storm, she's not a clique with anybody. Tony Storm, like Batista's theme music, she walks alone. Tony Storm has friends, obviously. She's cordial, but never has she been a part of a clique. in her lifetime. She'll be the first to tell you that. So my point is, guys, it's the whole locker room at this point. I mean, maybe you could pull a few that are like, oh, I love Rosa. But the majority of the locker room, it's not just a clique, is just not happy with the way this went down. They don't fully believe the severity of the injury. They're not buying a lot of this, and they don't really care for Rosa. So that's a problem, right? I mean, we want the best for the whole division. That includes Rosa. But until you can't have the best until you address the issues and you fix what needs to be fixed. What's broken needs to be repaired. Otherwise, you're never going to get anything close to the best roster in pro wrestling. You'll never be able to compete with WWE's ladies rosters. Again, the booking is another story. But the rosters, AEW should absolutely be competing right now. But this turmoil with this interim bullshit has greatly, severely hurt AEW massively. And everybody says, well, Rosa tried on day one to give the title to Khan, and Khan said no. Khan did all of this, and Rosa's just an innocent bystander, a victim, when she tried to give the title to Khan. No, that's BS. Because Punk, you could say, tried to do the same thing as well. And when the initial decision was made to be interim champ, that's when Rosa just played victim from there on out. If Rosa really went to Tony Khan after a month and said, dude, I mean, everybody's like getting pissed. Even fans are starting to question shit, and they don't like this interim. I'm getting, my stock is being lowered from this. I'm taking hits on this, and the company is not benefiting one iota. You got to take this title from me, Tony. I'm not asking you. As my boss, I want you to look in my eyes and trust my words, because I'm saying this in such a passionate place is where it's coming from. You have to take this title. And if you really believe in me, awesome. When I come back, we'll do a thing. We'll do a jamboree, and I'll fucking win that shit back. And we'll do it the right way. No. Rosa was not going out of her way. If she shows up in interviews, I've been trying. Every day I'm trying to tell Tony, here's the email receipts. I'm trying. He won't take it. No, I'm not buying that shit, man. I'm not buying that. And if that comes to case, and Rosa says every day I've been trying to get him to take the title, then Tony Khan has a lot more splaining to do than we originally thought. But I doubt very much there was that much amplification in Rosa to give that title up. I doubt very much. It was a double botch. Tony Khan, above and beyond, and then Rosa, the way business was handled after that, showing up on Busted Open all the time. You know, it's one thing if you're just rehabbing and just you keep the title and you stay hush, right? Like Punk. When Punk was on that hiatus with the interim championship, as bad as of a decision that was, you just don't see Punk flaunting around on interviews and flaunting the title around and saying, I was going to give it up, but hey, that's not what happened and everybody needs to relax. You know, I wish this was different too. No, Punk didn't do that. Rosa should never have just gone on Busted Open and done all these interviews and just making it worse. Instead of healing the wound, she's actually just making that wound be even bigger. And that wound keeps getting fucking larger and larger, and pus is coming out and blood's coming out. It wasn't needed. You should have stitched that shit up and take it from there, man. But, you know, everybody botched in this situation. And then the rest of the females got pissed off, and they started speaking out, and then it became a bigger issue. This should have been done, right? This whole cold open. I'll put a cherry on top of this conversation finally, because I've talked about this. I'm probably the only fucking content creator, podcaster that's been talking about this in great length. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one with this type of view, because most people were playing the Rosa is a victim card, and Britt Baker has the nasty mean girls with her. It wasn't the case. BC was hearing different things backstage. BC was seeing different, hearing different from the parties involved. And my conclusion was pretty instantly and simultaneous, by the way, with everybody that I talked to. It was pretty easy to come to our conclusion that Rosa rubs a lot of locker rooms the wrong way. And this was just the latest And it was just, it was botched. The whole situation was botched. She didn't want to do the job to Toni Storm. She takes off. We hear she's not coming back till possibly 2023, and Tony Khan still doesn't move a muscle until Toni Storm has to raise a fucking red flag yet again for the third time. Tony Khan should have never put his talent in that position, to be that frustrated, to be the only ones to say this isn't right. It shouldn't just be the fucking talent. And this is where Tony Khan has to man up from now on. At least he grew a set last night and finally did the right decision. This should have been done a long time ago. If people don't like it, big Rosa fans don't like it, it's a sorry not sorry situation. If you love AEW, this had to happen. This was not working. Rosa's title reign should be the one with the asterisk, not Toni Storm. At least we're hearing that Storm will be honored as a real champion. We're hearing that as the latest by Khan. That's the right call as well, by the way. We'll talk about more of that when it's confirmed. And Jamie Hayter has been declared the new AEW Women's Champion officially. I'm glad there's no bullshit tournament. I'm glad we're not jumping through hoops. She's got the fucking title. She should be the champ, just like Toni Storm should have been the champ. Just like when Rosa walked out, she should not have been the champ. Now, moving forward, right? The cold open isn't exactly done yet because we got to switch gears. And it's the same thing when people say that Thunder Rosa's the victim in all of this. People are saying now after last night that CM Punk is now the victim because the Elite was making fun of him last night. The Elite was poking fun at the All Out situation. The Elite was making Chicago boo them. How dare they? CM Punk doesn't deserve this type of treatment. I think that is utmost bullshit. Just like hearing that Thunder Rosa is a victim makes me laugh and then just think, damn, people cannot be that stupid. Hearing that CM Punk is a victim after last night makes me laugh and then simultaneously go, damn, people cannot be that stupid. It was CM Punk just last week that was laughing. He was covering like an MMA event on commentary, and Punk was laughing about the situation and goes, "You don't want me in a locker room. Oh no, that doesn't end well." And everybody started laughing on commentary. This was for an MMA event. Punk is just on screen with another company just laughing about it like, I totally poisoned the locker room, whether I meant to or just I was a dick, and the locker room just got fucking up in arms and turmoil. It doesn't matter. You don't want me in the locker room. I went to WWE, fucking poisoned that. I went over to AEW, poisoned that. And there's people that will just go, it's not Punk's fault, man. Look what WWE did to that, man. The wedding papers or the walking papers on the wedding day and all that, man. I mean, Punk was still not the easiest to work with in WWE. Punk still didn't have a hell of a lot of fucking buddies in WWE. Punk still was fucking barking orders and threatening the walkouts. And then you go over to AEW and some talent got the, hey man, I'm here to help you treatment. And others just got, hey, I'm running the business now treatment. And the locker room was divided. There was a dose of poison that was injected when CM Punk got to the AEW roster. And that dose of poison was Phillip Brooks. That's just what happened. Now, you can blame the Elite, too, for the all-out post-brawl, media scrum brawl. Absolutely. Everybody plays a hand, right? Everybody's got at least one finger into that cookie jar. Right? If you're going to place blame, we can spread it out, no question. Phillip Brooks, CM Punk, is what caused that. On the night of All Out, Phil Brooks, CM Punk, went into business for himself fully on a night that should have been MJF's. Punk totally went into business for himself, made it all about him, went on the tirade in front of his boss, knowing that his boss wasn't going to say shit, because at the the presser before, the pay-per-view before All Out, when they did the media scrum, and Tony Khan was asked about Eric Bischoff's comments that Punk doesn't draw. Tony Khan flipped out. He went mental. He started flipping out on a tirade, an absolute tirade of profanity. Bischoff doesn't know what he's talking about. CM Punk moves the needle every which way, and he starts giving... Right at that moment, CM Punk knew that his biggest fan in the world, his biggest mark, was his own boss, Tony Khan. And it's not a coincidence or a shocker that the very next media scrum, it was Punk that was doing the tirade. It was Punk that was dishing out F-bombs in profanity. And it was Tony Khan that was looking at him now like, damn, this isn't good. It was Punk, and he challenged the whole locker room. I mean, they had to do something or else they were going to look like bitches. If anybody's got a problem with what I'm saying, you can meet me face to face right after I leave here. What did you expect them to do? You just called them. You said they couldn't even manage a target. They're so stupid they couldn't even manage a target, man. Dissing the 9-to-5ers out there in the world. Those target managers are stressed. They're fucking probably trying to manage 100 different associates with 3 different shifts. That shit ain't easy. Phil Brooks taking a shit on retail management. But what did you expect them to do, in all honesty? Of course they were going to address the situation. Dude, you talked a big fucking game live for everybody to hear. This is going to be ran fucking over and over. Tomorrow, next week, next month, forever. You talked a big fucking game. Why'd you do that, bro? You want us to address you. We're right the fuck here, dude. You know, that's what they did in reaction. So everybody plays a part leading up to it. Phil Brooks was not the greatest person behind the scenes. We're hearing by a lot of people. And what CM Punk decided to do on that night was fucking horrendous. Not the way you do business. Some people still want to say it's a work, especially after last night and what the Elite was doing. Guys, it's not a fucking work. Nobody would win here. AEW looks like a fucking clown show. Punk got any fucking dignity or respect ripped from him. There's nothing that would be gained here. Even if Punk ever comes back, you're going to try to act like this was a work. Nobody would gain. There's nothing. This level of turmoil would never have to be reached for a storyline. It's done, man. This obviously did not work at all. And after last night, what happens is the Elite, and this is coming after Kenny Omega did himself no favors. Kenny Omega comes out before Dynamite in an interview. I forgot what the actual source was, but he cut an interview and he says, we just want this to be over. We want this whole thing to be done. We're sick of talking about it. We're not going to talk about it, actually. Not sick of talking. We're not going to. We hope everybody is good. We hope that we can maybe do business in the future. I forgot exactly what he said. But he just wanted bygones to be bygones. Let's all move in the right direction. Phil Brooks is no longer with the company. We are back, and let's just focus on what's right. And hey, if we ever cross paths in the future, maybe it'll go good. Maybe we can do business. Who knows? And then last night, they're in Chicago. You get some CM Punk chants, and the Elite totally used the entire trios match to fuck with Punk, to troll Punk, to bash Punk. No doubt, but it was mostly the crowd, man. They're chanting CM Punk. What do you want them to do? So there was many instances where the Elite totally fucking ragged down on CM Punk. For instance, there were some CM Punk chants, which BC thought was fuck CM Punk, but apparently the Bucks heard a little better, and it was CM Punk chants. So they were dancing to him. Both the Young Bucks dancing to that shit, man. They were fucking doing the fucking break it down, right? With the fucking hands on the knees. CM Punk. And they're fucking dancing, trolling the audience, man. Then at one point, I think it was Matt Jackson botched on purpose a buckshot lariat. A buckshot lariat on purpose. You remember Punk did that twice against Paige. Yeah, he did it the first time, embarrassed, and he's like, fuck, I can do this. I know I can. Did it again, botched it again. And this was obviously a big fuck you to Punk, no question, to troll Punk, but more so the crowd. These are pro wrestlers working heel at that point in Chicago, getting that heat, getting that turmoil. So they're gonna, if you're gonna boo anyway, or you're gonna fuck with them, they're gonna give you reasons to really boo. They're gonna fuck with you back. They're playing the heel at that moment. So it's more so, it's not just a hit to Punk. I mean, if that's your hero at the time, then they're gonna drag your hero. So yeah, MJ, Matt Jackson, botched a buckshot on purpose as a big fuck you to Punk and his supporters. There was also there was also a moment where Kenny Omega actually hit a GTS, go to sleep. I think it was on Pac. So he actually hit. So he's the dude who said, listen, we just want to move on. Bygones be bygones. And then he hits a GTS. But again, what do you expect him to do? Like that's what he's saying. The real Kenny Omega is saying, yeah, we want to move on. Bygones be bygones. But the theatrics, the performer, the wrestler live on TV has to do other things, man. You know, CM Punk is laughing about it on his little MMA commentator gig. Laughing about it last week. Oh, you don't want me in any locker room. Laughing about it all smug. Like he didn't fucking hurt the AEW locker room a lot. Others were at play. He's not totally just to blame. But he was a big reason that locker room imploded, especially on that night. And now he's all smug laughing about it. Well, that's what they're doing. They're fucking gonna make a joke out of it. They're gonna fuck with you right back, man. You know? So I don't see how Punk is a victim in all of this. It's so odd. Just because Omega cut that interview, Punk started it when he was all smug laughing about it and joking, oh, you don't want me in a locker room, haha. I'm evidently a bad person, you know? Well, you expect a shot right back, man. There were some other things that were done in this matchup as well. Man, I keep forgetting. There was a couple of other things I'm missing, but some of the key ones was the GTS, the dancing to the Punk chants, the botched buckshot lariat on purpose. You know, there was all these little things that they were doing. And now, you know, and it's kind of divided the wrestling world. Like, oh, good, man, good. Hopefully fucking Punk sees that. And then there's other people like, Punk didn't deserve that. Punk is minding his business. Well, you know, they're in Chicago. They're playing the heel. He brought it up in a joke on his little fucking commentator gig last week. So they're throwing some digs back. BC sees no harm, no foul. So anybody really flipping out about this, come on, guy. Come on, man. Damn. Now we're getting carried away. So that's the cold open, guys. We're going to get to that matchup. And a little bit more CM Punk talk when we get to that. I believe that's the end of hour number 1, that trios match with the Elite. And we will talk a little bit more about Rosa when we talk about Renee Paquette making that huge announcement. I believe that was our number 2. So, without any further ado, I say we get this thing rocking on this Thanksgiving Day because there is football and a lot of food to get to. So this is just BC's way to say thank you to you guys. And probably with that whole cold open, I'm probably pissing a bunch of people off on Thanksgiving because they don't agree with my assessment on Rosa or Punk or anything at this point. I understand. Sometimes you got to cry those tears even on a holiday. I get it. You know, if I got to be the bad guy in the community, that's what I got to be, man. I came out the wound an asshole. I don't see anything changing for holidays. But if you're with BC, if you're part of my amplified unit, if you show that love and support, well, then I got to give it to you right the fuck back. In fact, man, hold on. You know what I got to do? You know what I'm going to do? I'll do it. There was a couple of super thankers recently, and I have the list. I don't have it up right now. I'm going to get that list over the past couple of videos. There was a couple of super thankers. Throwing a coffee to BC. I'm gonna make sure that I give you guys a shout out in the very next video, top of the vid. So to my super thankers, I caught that shit. I appreciate the coffee leading up to Thanksgiving, and now that it is Thanksgiving, I will get those names and give a shout out in the very next video. But I did want to acknowledge those individuals that threw BC a coffee, man. That does not go unnoticed, and that's hugely appreciated. So, to my amplified unit, to all my supporters, I want to do this review, if I may. I hate calling it a review for AEW because they don't like me reviewing the show because I'm so critical. That doesn't have to be a bad thing, by the way. Critical just means I'm calling out what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, you know? Not just my opinion, not what I like and dislike. It's literally what's good and bad, right? I'm trying to help. You know, evidently AEW did not want that help for a while. But we're in a little bit of a better place now with BC and AEW. So let's just do this, right? And thankfully it wasn't a bad show. Was it a good show? We got to talk about it. We start this show with the Combat Club, middle of the ring. Mox wants to rip Regal's dome piece off his shoulders. After what happened Saturday night at Full Gear, Regal turning on Mox, MJF winning the championship thanks to the fucking brass knuckles. I almost said the Bray knuckles, not Bray Wyatt knuckles. The brass knuckles by William Regal. He turns on Mox, man. Mox wanted to get at William Regal, but it was Bryan Danielson that is between them. Bryan Danielson is jockeying hard that Mox does not touch William Regal. Danielson is begging Mox not to lay his hands on Regal, telling emotional stories about how much he loves Regal and why. And he's even on his knees at one point trying to beg Mox, don't lay your hands on him, please, for me, on his knees. At one point, I think he smacked the shit out of Mox. I'm not sure I blinked. I just blinked, man. Maybe I wrote something really quick. I just looked away, and when I looked up, the crowd was like, oh! And Danielson's like, I'm sorry. It's almost like he smacked Mox upside his dome piece. But he's saying, this is how much I mean this, man. Please, for me, don't lay your hands on him. So Mox says, let me just talk to him. Let me talk to you, like LA Knight. So Mox gets right into Regal's face. Regal, on his accord, Regal is not backing down, dude. A tried and true, real life, tough son of a bitch. Mox tells Regal face to face, and I quote, I want you to run. Run. Don't look back. Just run. And keep running. Far away. I don't ever want to see you back here again. Run. And man, damn, as Ron Simmons would say, Regal had no choice but to exit the ring in full obedience, because the consequences for disobedience at that moment seemed dire to an alarming level. There was no room for disobedience, bro. But Regal did not walk away without being in straight defiance, right? You know how Regal is. He walked away in defiance, did not run. He walked out of the ring, up the ramp, and through that heel tunnel. But he was not going to run from any man. That's just not what William Regal does. He never has. He will never. You know, you're not going to see like Austin Theory, the new resetted Theory. And he's still running away from people and being a coward. He runs away from Lashley this Monday. Oh, yeah, what a reset. Temper tantrum. Until I'm scared and I got to run. That's what Theory says, right? You're not going to see William Regal do that shit. But he does exit the ring. He knows that he cannot. I mean, Mox is not fucking around here. And how tough William Regal is, he wants none of Mox at that moment. Very believable, very realistic. You didn't have to overdo this. I know a lot of fans are probably thinking, a little bit more would have been better, BC. Not exactly. This kind of tells the story epically, where you could do many things here. You can write William Regal off TV for a little bit, right? Who knows? Maybe Paul Levesque asked for fucking Regal services, and Regal just wants his out, and maybe he goes back to WWE. Maybe he just wants a vacation. Maybe he wants some time off. Maybe storyline-wise, Tony Khan wants him to hit the bricks for a couple months. But you could have William Regal just kind of fade away for just a little bit. You could have this lead into he's going to step back up to Mox when he's got MJF. And they're going to double down on Regal's decision from Saturday night. There's so many different ways and layers you can go from here. But the first and foremost thing I would ask you guys to do is think about the believability in this. This is very real, and this is the respect that Mox once had for Regal, and he wanted to beat the fuck out of him in that ring. He thought better of it because of what Danielson was saying and the health issues that Regal has. So he said, before I literally fucking break you into pieces, you have this one fucking chance to get out of my sight for good. Run. Just keep running. Don't ever look back. It's so believable, man. It's one of those segments where you actually didn't need more. And I fully expect more layers to be. I'm just kidding about the going to work for Triple H. I mean, that could always happen. And you're right, William Regal off TV. But there's just... And MJF does not need William Regal going forward, to be honest with you. So this could be a way to just write him off, or just wait until MJF comes back and then Regal is going to do more. But it's a good way to break up, finally, this BCC. Blackpool Combat Club. And I just gotta think, like, for Mox, maybe one more segment later in the night would have been really good, like back in the locker room, maybe with his wife, and his wife tries to interview him, and he is so fucking livid that he tears something up backstage, or he's got his bags and he literally walks out of the arena, and even his wife is like, what the, one more segment would have been ultimate. I felt like once you went to commercial after segment 1, I was fine with the storyline, but I needed a little bit of more character growth coming out of losing the title by Mox. I didn't get that. So in that aspect, yes, I would agree with you guys. A little bit more in that way, character-wise, would have been appreciated. But we didn't get that. Still a pretty damn good, realistic, believable, high fucking octane, very emotional, captivating first segment. Match-wise, to start the night, we're going to go into Orange Cassidy defeating Jake Hager in 8 minutes via pinfall for the AEW All-Atlantic Pacific Eastern Standard Mountain Time Championship. The All-Atlantic. I feel like this is a title that was created in the ocean. Anyway, as I said, Cassidy defeats Jake Hager. The match was full of comedy spots. Hager trying on Cassidy's shades. Orange wears Hager's hat, his purple hat. Orange is crowd surfing on Best Friends. Fun is okay, but this was a bit too much for BC. Comedy can be funny or comedy can be goofy. In this case, we started to go along the lines of old school Orange Cassidy, which was a bit too much comedy, starting to go along the lines of Matt Riddle, comedy Riddle. And I always say, serious Matt Riddle is best for business. That's when you're going to get the best Matt Riddle. When he's just fucking scootering to the ring, banging on his bongos, bangos, Oreos, whatever the fuck he's bonging on. I shouldn't say bonging on. That's Matt Riddle takes that to another level. Anyway, he's got his little 420 shirt. I mean, this guy is just... It's like somehow Triple H found a way to do what Vince made him goofy. Triple H just found a way to make him more goofy. And this time, he doesn't even have Randy Orton to team up with. He's got Elias. I mean, this guy got... And I'm a fan of Elias. But truth is truth. Matt Riddle has been downgraded in every which fucking way. And the guy is more than forgettable right now. It's sad. Orange Cassidy, he can take that comedy and you can make that part of his arsenal that's going to make him huge in this company. We thought that for many months, and then Tony Khan stopped believing in him. Booked him really odd and then non-existent, basically. Now, you give him a little bit of a resurge. He wins this Ocean Championship, All-Atlantic Pacific Eastern Mountain Time Championship. He gets this victory over JAS member Jake Hager. And at the end of it, I just can't help but think too much. I can't help but think about him fucking wearing Hager's hat, or Hager wearing his glasses, or him crowd surfing, or him doing the shin kicks. Oh, it's a bit much when you're really trying to have a championship match. And if I'm one of the few that feels that way, and everyone, I loved it, basically. I loved it, man. I loved it. Well, then that's how you want your 7.5 minute matches to go. That's cool, man. I don't mind comedy. I just admitted you could use that in your arsenal to get over. But man, Jake Hager does not look good at all in this either. Jake Hager looks like a fucking clown in this. This was 7.5 minutes of clown shit. Jake Hager actually had real fights, like MMA style, didn't he? Something like that, man. I mean, now he's like... It's weird. It's weird for BC. And I got to call down the middle for all companies. If I say this in WWE about somebody like Riddle, when I say, like, okay, comedy is one thing, you're taking it too far. I got to say the same with Orange and Orange's matches and who he's in there with. Somebody like Hager, you got to kind of limit the comedy. Now, if Cassidy's in there with somebody else that can do the comedy, I don't know who else. You guys could probably think of a name or two, or 5 in AEW that you could have comedy with. Okay. Maybe we can up the ante a little bit. 7.5 minutes of comedy. Jake Hager's not that guy. So, yeah, I had to spend a minute on that. Anyway, again, I will say this a third time. Cassidy defeats Hager. 7.5 minutes, just under 8. Post-match, QT Marshall and his squad hit the ring requesting a title shot from Cassidy. QT's like, it seems like you're giving everybody a shot these days. Well, you know what? And all of a sudden, the lights go out. Unveiling from a red spotlight is Julia Hart. The lights go back on, and sure enough, it's the House of Black. Black, Matthews, and Brody destroy, well, everybody. If you think about it, I mean, you go back to this segment, they beat up Orange, they beat up the Best Friends, QT, his boy, Security got beat up. House of Black sent a stern message. And if it wasn't obvious enough, Black grabs the mic and he says, and I quote, "Members of the House of Black, all rise." I can't help but think this is the AEW version of Judgment Day. And they were around first. So a lot of people say that Judgment Day is the WWE version of House of Black. But when I hear all rise, please rise, all rise, I'm thinking like, oh shit, man, you got a little battle here, man. You got the Judgment Day and you got House of Black. But, pretty badass. It was cool to see them. They all look good. They all look like they were, as far as shape-wise, appearance-wise, perception-wise, everything was just top-notch. They looked good. They looked ready to rock. And we'll see if there's any ring rust. We'll find out. But it was good to see them together. I'm not a big schmaz match type of person, which means I'm not a big trios division type of a guy. I can't stand 6-man tags. I can't. It's a circus to me. It's too many spots, too many moves, too many sequences, back to back to back, not enough selling, not enough in-ring psychology, not enough reason to care. We just fucking bounce around like fucking circus freaks in the audience going, ooh, this is awesome. And we do all our chants. And then we go online and we talk about how much of a banger it was. I say this all the time. Almost every video I say the same fucking thing about these matches. And it happens every time. It happened in a trios match to end this first hour, actually, with the Elite and Death Triangle. And people go nuts. And basically, what's wrong with people having a good time? Nothing, man. That's totally fine. It's not pro wrestling, man. There's one thing to evolve in a different way. But that's not what it's founded upon, and that's why wrestling is struggling. It's because that type of reaction cannot sustain itself. Just because you're like, wow, and you're bouncing around because you're in Chicago, and you go, ole, 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 because you're in Chicago, and there's a type of fan that loves soccer, and there happens to be some fucking talent in there that represents that, you got your flags and everybody's fucking doing the ole, right? And everybody's fucking, you're just full of emotion. Ole, 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 ole. And BC's at home going, I'm not seeing enough selling here. I'm not seeing, okay, why is he not selling that? Why is that sequence even happening? No, please do not hug each other just so this guy can jump onto all of you and you can all fucking jump into your snuggies together afterwards. I'm just seeing a lot of stuff, man, that just did not, but that's what a lot of fans like today, man. Just non-stop action because our attention spans can't take anything like a headlock. Oh, no, man, I'm going to fall asleep. If it's done correctly with the right people and the right psychology, that headlock means way more than you doing 17 moves back to back to back to back to back to back 17 times. A Canadian destroyer 6 seconds later, a pedigree from the fucking top rope, then a fucking moonsault from the top of the turnbuckle onto the outside, a suicide dive, a fucking code red, a code blue, a code green. A simple headlock will trump that if done correctly with the right people. But this is what we do. And because it was Chicago, this match at the end of the night, man, everybody was like, oh my goodness, flips and dives. But my point is, I don't even like trios, division matches. I don't like schmazes. Anything more than 2-on-2, no thank you. And even tag matches these days have become tornado rules all the time. There's no rules. Everybody can just be in there. The referee enforces nothing. They have no control. It looks like they don't even know the rules. You're supposed to be on the outside, hold the fucking white rope, wait till you're tagged. Once in a while, it's pro wrestling, of course. You're going to have double teams and stuff. But why does everything have to be a tornado tag? I mean, BC is just old school in that way, and those fundamentals cannot be taken away. BC, wrestling has changed, man. We love the bangers and the high-flying, nonstop, crazy action. We don't need to sell as much, basically. There's no more in-ring psychology. You just have to learn what you did in the backyard on the trampoline. You just got to be able to perform it in the ring, basically. Well, no, that's for you, and because of that, the ratings are in the tank. The care for pro wrestling is in the shitter, and wrestling's on life support. You can't do that shit, man. BC's right on this. You got to bring back kayfabe just a little bit. Even in the internet world of 2022, you got to bring back some kayfabe. You got to bring back in-ring selling. You got to bring back in-ring psychology. You got to bring back care. You got to bring back investment. You got to bring back captivation. These are things you got to do. You just got to do it. You know what I mean? And if you're going to sit there and you're going to just do fucking flip after dive after dive, and then you're going to fucking end the match and everyone's going to go, well, I just witnessed a banger. And then we go into another one. It's the same fucking shit. Well, this is a banger. You know what happens at the end of the night? Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody's going to go back and watch that trios match from last night. Nobody's going to go back and watch it. And if they do, it's just to hear it's just to see the trolling that the Elite did with Punk. It's the truth. Many of these flips and dives matches, and I'm not like a Braun Strowman, by the way. If you're just catching the channel, you think I'm just dissing flips and dives. I just don't like how there's too much of it and not enough consistency with other areas of what pro wrestling was founded upon. You have to have layers to everything. If you want to bounce around the ring like you're on your trampoline at your mom's house in the backyard, that's fine. But there has to be other parts to your match. And a prime example of that is Ali and Ricochet from this past week. I've seen them wrestle a lot of times. A lot of their matches are just flipping dives. You forgot about it. This past week on SmackDown, or a week or two, whatever it was, when they had their match, I think it was last week, that match was actually their best they've ever done. It wasn't for one or two reasons that was over the top. It was because they chopped their match. If it was like a pie, the best way it's Thanksgiving. Let's put it into a pie, right? They literally had an even piece of pie to make up that whole fucking circle. Every part of that pie was consistently equal. And they just filled in that pie perfectly, bro. To the point where you got your flips and dives. You got to get that. And people and fans like BC, they got to see them like sell the moves, take a breath, really buy into the fact that you just took that crazy move and you didn't just bounce up. You know, so much respect to Ali and Ricochet for that. It's been the longest time since I've been able to give them props because of their booking, but that's my point. You know, and I know that was probably another fucking time. You get BC talking about this, man, because it's such a illuminating topic. You know, people a lot of times don't understand what BC's saying. Oh, you just don't like flips and divers, BC. All right, Braun Strowman. No, it's not. It's not that. I want it all. Like, there's no reason you shouldn't be. The pie should not be fucking inadequate. There's no reason that the pie should be like 60. One piece is 67%. Another piece is like 26%. One piece is 4%. It's like, what are we doing here? That, like, make the fucking pie slices equal, man. Everybody wants the same fucking slice. You got to be able to divide your matches up the right way and just make it to the fact where everybody can become invested into it. And these multi-man matches are just they're not doing it. And it's not just people like BC saying it. The ratings are telling you that. Even merchandise sales are down 41% across pro wrestling. 40, how is that even possible? Nobody cares. Is it possible that BC knows what I'm talking about? More trios matches is not what's going to bring people to the yard. That's tough to hear. I understand that. Anyway, I didn't even get to the Elite match. I'm pretty much fucking spoke about all I wanted to on that. Seeing the House of Black back, very cool. Am I excited to see where we go from there with the trios division and all their 6-man tags coming up? No, I'm not invested in that at all. But it makes a better option for them to get the titles than the Elite after this best of 7 nonsense. You know? You bring them back, make it for a reason. Are they going to be utilized correctly this time, or are they just another 3-man group? No better than the 3-man band. The fuck was that called? With Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater. There was another individual. Wasn't that Drew McIntyre? We're a 3-man band. because that's what happened the first time. They weren't happy. You brought them back. Let's put them into something, man. Let's see what they can do. Or we just give it to the Elite, and then why didn't you just fucking give it to them at Full Gear, just so we can see this match 7 fucking times? And that's how we ended hour number 1, actually. Best of 7 trios match. Elite, Death Triangle, wanted to throw Taz, Excalibur, and Shivani through a brick wall for talking over Carry On My Wayward Son. That fucking 80s jam that is a soundtrack to so many people's lives. Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are gone. I mean, that's... how the fuck are you going to talk over that shit? Taz, Excalibur, Shivani, what were you thinking, man? Talking over Carry On My Wayward. I could not believe that shit, man. But, again, match-wise, there was fuck CM Punk chants, a lot of CM Punk chants. Elite throughout the match, absolutely just tooling and trolling on Punk and the crowd of Chicago. And then at the end, there was a hammer to the dome piece, literally, that allows the Triangle to defeat the Elite. Triangle is now 2-0 in this best of 7 series. That's all I'm going to talk about, man. I talked about the bulk of how I feel about trios and these type of matches, that ooh and ah, the live crowd, but does nothing for us at home. And that's not, again, BC, I enjoyed it. I don't know what you're talking about. I get that. Trust me. Enough people have told me they can enjoy it. But if you don't have everything else involved on this show, I would like to even see it in the matches, then it's going to fall to the wayside. That's my point. That's why you're seeing nothing working today. Because everybody just went all in on this new flip and dive type of wrestling. Doesn't work, man. Doesn't work. You can still have that, but make sure you're checking off every other box. That's it. That's all I'm going to say about it. By the way, I totally skipped over this, man. This match, this was right before the end of hour 1. Eliminator Tournament Final. Ricky Starks defeats Ethan Page after not 1, not 2, but 3 Starks Spears. December 14th, Winter is Coming. MJF versus Ricky Starks. Good to see Starks, man. Really getting a lot of momentum lately. Looks like Tony Khan's going all in with Ricky Starks. So we'll see what he can do. Obviously, he's got to lose this match. That's going to suck, but that's why I say Tony Khan needs to really have something for Starks. A lot of times you can find victory in defeat, and I'm hoping that Tony Khan really does Ricky Starks justice in this loss to MJF December 14th. Winter is Coming. Hour number 2 kicks off with a monumental announcement from Renee Paquette. Tony Khan has indeed, effective immediately, stripped Thunder Rosa of the AEW Women's Championship. Hallelujah. The skies have opened. There's hope in the world. Happy Thanksgiving to the women's division of AEW, man. This was the greatest news that most of us could get for that title. Renee introduces the new women's champion as Jamie Hayter. We are also hearing that Tony Khan is going to acknowledge Toni Storm as a real champion. That is a fucking blessing. I'm sure Rosa's not going to want to hear that. Damn it, it didn't work. I held off until she dropped it. But Toni Storm is going to be the real champ, and Hayter is now your new champ, and Rosa stripped. BC could not ask for more, man. It's the right call. It's the right decision. If you don't have a timetable, if your injury does not have a timetable, you should not be carrying a wrestling championship. Any type of championship, if your return doesn't have a timetable. Renee introduces the new women's champ, Jamie Hayter. Thank goodness it's not going to be a goofy tournament or some other BS that we have to jump through hoops just to declare a champion. Come on, man. That's not a storyline. That is not interesting. She won the match. She has the title. She's the champ. Now you have to get actually creative. Think of a real storyline for Hayter's next opponent and build a story that is captivating us. Not fucking tournaments just because you want to be lazy. You don't know what a good story is going to be, so you're just going to have a multi-week tournament, and that'll decide a number one contender. That will decide a new champion. Just give them fucking tournaments. WWE does it all the time, too. It's pathetic. I love this decision. Hayter, champ. Bottom line. Hayter and Britt Baker then go on to win a triple threat tag match. The only rough part for BC here is that Baker, who I'm on board with, man. Much love and respect to Britt Baker. but she pinned my gal, Sky Blue. BC's crushing a little bit on Sky Blue. I got a little bit of a crush on Sky Blue, I ain't gonna lie. And I like what I see from Sky Blue. Not just I like what I see with Sky Blue, but from Sky Blue. There's talent there, man. So Sky Blue, BC is very high on her. Loved seeing her last night. Hated to see her on her back. I never thought I'd say that. Some Thanksgiving fucking laughter here, man. What? No? No. Bad joke, BC. No, but for real, though. I hated seeing her on her back last night looking up at the lights because that means she took an L. Get your mind out of the gutter. That's what I meant. Sky Blue drops this match. Britt Baker, hater. The champion gets a victory, and Britt Baker gets a little bit of steam, even though it's a weird multi-person tag match. But, hey, beggars can't be choosers. Hater comes out a W. Britt Baker comes out with a W. Sky Blue, I still got love for you. Much love for Sky Blue. I will still be in Sky Blue's corner, no doubt. Acclaimed hit the ring. Next, crowd is hyped because it's the Acclaimed. They're mad, more than over. They cut a promo about, well, nothing. The Acclaimed, it was like at the last minute, Tony Khan said, here, you got 5 minutes. This segment was absolutely, like, there was no reason, no point. It was bad. They say nothing. Jarrett and Lethal show up on the Tron to say some words, and Daddy Ass says, and I quote, get them off my screen. So, boop, they get off the screen, right? Production gets them off the screen. And then he says, scissor me, Daddy Ass. But this was Billy Gunn who says, scissor me, Daddy Ass. So even though he is the ass daddy, he's saying, scissor me, Daddy. He's telling himself to scissor him. I didn't get any of this. I have no clue. Then the segment was over, guys. It was over. Crowd was confused AF. Watch the crowd when the Acclaimed is so over. The crowd was hyped. We were interested to see where this goes, what's going to happen. And when the segment was over and their music was playing, like the crowd is like, yeah, what's going? Wait, somebody's coming out, right? What's going on? Is the scissor gonna accidentally fucking hit somebody in the ass? What's gonna happen? Is it really gonna be an ass daddy? Oh, what's happening? Nobody knew. Everyone's looking around like, no, that's the segment, guys. I think Tony Khan literally just ended that. Remember when Ariel Helwani's interview podcast and Tony Khan literally said, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. Can I go to the bathroom and come back? And Ariel's like, we're recording, but okay. And this dude went and took a piss, came back, and finished the interview. Tony Khan gives new meaning to you gotta go. I mean, did Tony Khan, was he in the middle of the creative for the Acclaimed and he had to go to the bathroom? When he came back, he forgot to fill in the blanks and he just jumped to the main event? This Acclaimed segment was fucking horrendous. And this is not how you book people that are so over. This is how you hurt them. Main event, ROH title, Jericho versus Ishii. Chop Fest Mania. This was just them slapping the shit out of each other for 5 minutes, then chopping each other for 10 minutes, and then the match was over. Jericho was dripping Blizzowitz, man. Blood just dripping down his chest from the chops. It was nuts, bro. But Jericho is able to come out victorious. There was no way he was going to drop this match. Post-match, up on the rampway, Claudio comes out and slaps the shit out of Jericho, knocks Jericho down with a slap. Kind of funny. It was amusing. And then the show ends. Could we end it a little bit better? I mean, that's it. I like the Chop Fest. I love how fucking it was violent. It was physical. But Jericho just beats Ishii, goes up to the ramp and gets smacked by Claudio, and then we fade to black and go off the air. Man, there was so much momentum coming out of Full Gear. And again, this was not a bad show. Was it great? Absolutely not. I mean, we just went over the 2 hours. It was far from great. People were used kind of odd. So it was not great. It was not bad. You know, opening segment was probably the stealer of the show, and then things did get weird, but right decisions were made, like the roast. I mean, what an announcement. A flood of emotion from everybody. A sigh of relief at that point. So there's definitely there was good. I call this a decent show. I needed a lot more. But if you guys want to call it good, totally understandable. If you're calling it bad, hey, eye of the beholder. You know, maybe it just wasn't enough good at all to overtake the bad. I kind of understand that too. I'm going to say decent. I was hoping for more because there was so much momentum from Full Gear and so many storylines coming out of that. Where's Jungle Boy gonna go from here? We really need to see the next layer to Wardlow. We really can't wait to see what happens with MJF. We know he's filming a movie, but maybe they did something in him and Mox. And all these characters either did not even show up or were used for like 4 seconds. It was really weird that none of that momentum seems to have carried into Dynamite this week. Very odd and disappointing. But we'll see where they go from here for next week, and we will see what the number pulls in. This is a pre-Thanksgiving episode, so I am going to throw them a mulligan, guys. I usually don't give excuses, but I will say that this show, if it goes under 850, that's not good. I think 850 to 875 is about a wheelhouse for this type of show right before Thanksgiving. But people are making shit. People still want to be entertained. Gets colder in a lot of this country for sure. So it's one of those things where people still are going to put that TV on. Do I expect 950 to $1 million? No. If they pull that, run away with William Regal and don't look back because there might be a mistake. Just take 950 to $1 million. I don't think that's going to happen. I think 850 to 875 is enough of a mulligan, right? Take 100 G's that couldn't tune in last night because of Thanksgiving. And that's still pretty high when your average is still 850 to 950. So I'm giving a big mulligan here. There's no reason they should be under 850. There's no reason they should be under 8 for sure. I don't give a shit if Thanksgiving and Christmas fell on the same day. You cannot go into the 700s, guys, coming off of a pay-per-view like Full Gear, a post-PPV event. My name is BC Amplified. This is the Amplified channel. I thank you guys so much for being a part of the channel. I thank you guys so much for all of the support that you have given to the channel and BC for this entire year. And I will thank you again all through December as well. We're not quite done, but on a day of giving thanks, here in this country anyway, BC really wants to take this moment as we end this review to say thank you, my Amplified unit. Thank you for being the very best pro wrestling fans in this community. I don't just say that as words. I say that as truth. Till next time, Top Guy, I am out. BC saying check you.